Welcome, everybody. We are live. I'm Carl Peterson, Credit Suite's content and social media lead. And today we're going to be unpacking something that could change the way you fund your business. No big deal. We're talking about inventory financing today. So, have you ever looked around your warehouse or your shelves or your garage full of inventory and thought, this is just money just sitting here? It's hard not to think that in that situation because it kind of is just money sitting there. I get it. But what if I told you that you can unlock working capital from inventory that you already own without even selling it? Today's session is built to show you exactly how, whether you're scaling up or dealing with a cash crunch or just trying to keep your business moving during those slow seasons. Inventory financing could be that answer for you, and it could be a massive game changer. And it is for many business owners who use it. So if you don't know about it already, or if you just simply need a refresher, you've definitely come to the right place. And I am so happy that you're here. So, what even is inventory financing? So, basically put, it's a loan or a line of credit that is backed by the value of your business's inventory. Think of it like this. Instead of using your house or your car as collateral, which are the two, typically the most common types of collateral, you can use the products that you already own, the same ones that are sitting in the stockroom, sitting on the shelves in the warehouse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You keep the inventory, right? You keep selling it. You nothing, just pretend that a loan doesn't even exist when it comes to the inventory that's sitting on your shelves. It's there. You can physically touch it. You can definitely keep selling it. But in the meantime, you use that very inventory to borrow funds for growth, operations, emergencies, whatever you need, right? A lot of people utilize this for buying inventory in bulk, filling those seasonal demand surges, which many of you can definitely relate to, cover short term cash gaps, and of course, expansion into other markets or sales channels or wherever you need that expansion to take place. That can also be technology, that could be employees, that could be a number of things. So here's how it works. It starts with an inventory valuation, right? That makes sense. So lenders need to actually assess your inventory's market value. This can be based on sales records, appraisals, or even a third party audit, but they have to understand what they're working with first and foremost. That makes sense, right? And then the loan offer comes. So based on that valuation, they'll offer you a loan or obviously a line of credit in some form, often between 50 to 80% of the inventory's total value. Obviously, no size fits all when it comes to anything funding, anything business related, but typically we're looking at about 50 to 80%. That's typically what we see in that window. You're going to offer with repayment terms, interest rates, collateral agreement, all the good stuff, the loan terms. And once you review that, then there's going to be some probably ongoing monitoring. So some lenders may require regular inventory updates or monitoring, especially for much larger loans or larger inventory sets. So inventory isn't a house. It's not something that the lender knows. It's just sitting there and existing. Obviously very high level when we're talking about a house and the what it actually does when it comes to value and asset and things like that, but it's just sitting there in in help of this conversation. The house is just sitting there. So inventory changes practically every day, right? And if you're dealing with anything seasonal, then that statement I just said is in hyperdrive. It is changing every second pretty much. So because there's constant changes, lenders may check in to actually make sure that things are on the right path with the random influxes that just naturally occur with inventory. And that's not just seasonal or anything like that. Inventory changes daily. It could change every minute, depending on how big your company is. So, um, lenders definitely need to make sure that they're on the right path, and you are too. And then comes the repayment. So repayment can be monthly, which is obviously fixed or flexible. And then in some cases, You can renew or increase your credit line as your inventory grows, which is obviously a ginormous perk since you can, in pretty much real time, continue to grow that credit line as you're experiencing financial growth from selling inventory. And then it's just a cycle. You get more inventory, you grow your credit line, you buy more inventory, you sell more inventory, you grow your credit line. It's just an endless cycle. And that really stops and begins whenever you want or need it to. Now, again, that's kind of a perfect world scenario, right? And everyone will experience things differently. But just in general, the exciting part about inventory financing is keeping what you already have and directly benefiting from it in real time today, right now. That inventory is on your shelf and you can sell it, but you're also using it to get more. It's an endless cycle. Again, as long as you want it or need it to be. So let's get into the weeds a little bit about the details that really matter here. So loan or line amount typically up to about $400,000. Loan terms, choose between 6 months typically starting out for short term, and then 48 months is typically the range for the longer terms. These are pretty much basic. Interest rates, you're looking at 5 to 20%, depending on many factors: credit score, inventory value, risk profile. Collateral, well, we've already talked about that. The collateral is the inventory itself, but obviously be prepared because some lenders, they may also want security there a little bit more than just the inventory. So you might want to be aware that they may also secure against accounts receivable or equipments or other traditional types of collateral in a case by case basis. Repayments, you're looking at monthly payments, sometimes interest only for the first few months, which gives you a massive kickstart. And then also, you will probably need to provide inventory updates, especially if your stock is a fast moving or seasonal type of product. And then default risk, obviously, if you can't repay, the lender may take possession of your inventory to recover those funds, which everything I just said is pretty basic, but or pretty common rather. But inventory financing does offer you a little bit more perks than some other types of loans and lines of credit if you have the availability to do it. So, who qualifies and what do you need? So, eligibility is a little bit more flexible than just traditional bank loans. So, here's typically what you need. So, we're looking at a credit score of about 550 to 625 minimum. So, starting out, you don't need to have some massive high credit, right? Time in business is 6+ months recommended. Obviously, again, that window might change depending on situations, but if you're a day one brand new business, you may have some problems compared to a 6+ month business or much longer, obviously. The more time in business, the likelihood goes up that you're going to get that line of credit or loan if you get all these other check boxes. Again, nothing new there. No recent bankruptcies, so at least 12 months clean from any kind of those reports. Business is in good standing with your Secretary of State, and then verifiable inventory. So you have to have, I've said this probably 4 times already, you have to have accurate, up-to-date records on what you have. That the loan has to have an attachment directly to that inventory. So an up-to-date inventory record and count is just it's an absolute must. And then don't forget the common documents, right? So inventory reports and balance sheets, business license and incorporation documents, last 3 to 6 months of bank statements, and then also possibly you may be needing your tax returns or profit and loss statements as well. Just like anything, there's pros and cons. When we're looking at inventory financing, the pros are it doesn't dilute equity at all. It leverages your existing assets, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest perks. You get flexible terms, relatively speaking. It doesn't require that perfect credit, like we just mentioned. And then also, it is absolutely perfect for product based businesses. The cons, well, if you're a service business, this isn't really related to you. So if you have no inventory, you're not going to get a loan with inventory financing, at least. Uh, higher interest than traditional bank loans is typically what you're going to see as well. It does require that very, very, very solid and up to date inventory tracking. And then lenders also may inspect your stock or require updates, like I've mentioned throughout this. So, here's a quick overview of how your inventory is actually valued. So, market versus book value is something that you will probably be speaking about. When it comes to inventory financing, lenders look at what your inventory would sell for today, not what you paid for it whenever you bought it. Turnover rate is something else that's very much looked at when valuations occur with your inventory. So turnover rate is just fast moving items basically equals better borrowing power. And it's just more of a likelihood that that will sell, and whoever you go through, their eyes get sparkly knowing that the possibility of getting that money back is a lot higher compared to something that might just sit there for a little bit. And then conditions and seasonality. So new in-demand items are worth much more than out of season or aging stock. Kind of goes hand in hand with the turnover rate. And finally, let's actually discuss how to apply. So if you've ever taken the steps to get any kind of funding whatsoever, then anyone in chat may be able to guess what step one will be in order to actually apply. I'm looking for, waiting for comments. I'm looking for step number one, preparing your documents. So you need to gather your business license, your bank statements, obviously that accurate, up-to-date inventory list, or even, point of sale reports. Two, you need to just choose a lender. You want to weigh your options between traditional or lenders that have a focus on asset based. And of course, your online lenders are always there as well, too. And then step number three, after you've prepped your documents and you've picked your best lender and applied, then it typically just comes down to that inventory verification. So lenders may actually request a virtual or physical audit. Be ready for that. Obviously, the more prepared you are before, the faster that process can and most likely will move. And then step number four is the best and most exciting part of all of this, which is you get the funding. So if you've been approved, then funds can typically be available relatively quickly. So 3 to 7 business days is about the turnover rate for that we see. So inventory financing gives you a way to grow without taking on any kind of risky debt or giving away equity or waiting for customer payments. If your business has 10K, 50K, or even all the way up to 300, 400K in inventory just sitting, you are holding on to cash in a non liquid form. And we need to fix that. So I understand this can be very daunting if you've never done it before or even know where to start. In the first minute of this stream, I mentioned to you how if you're interested in inventory financing, then you've definitely come to the right place. And I want to extend that sentiment right now to you. Credit Suite has helped over 60,000 businesses and has been an industry leader for over a decade. So give us a call. Our team will happily discuss with you your options and your next steps. If you're interested in finding out anything about inventory financing or even the massive list of other options that you have available to you right now for funding and may not even know about it, you can give us a call at 727-615-3588. That number again is 727-615-3588. And with that, that's today's stream. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day and your week. We are here daily with content and live twice a week on whatever platform you're watching on right now. So don't forget to drop us a follow if you haven't already, and we'll see you again real